Get out!
Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome to a Tank Destroyer replay. This is a slightly older one, this is from 8.10, and you will notice from the map that we're on, highway's actually been changed since this was played. I'm top tier in the Jagdpanzer 4, or should I say the Flat Panzer 4, and again I have the derp gun. I do actually still have this in my garage. I do take it out occasionally, even though it's now elited. I kind of hung on to it for reasons of historical battles, even though not quite sure what Wargaming... in 9.2 we're not getting any historical battles at all, but it looks like they're taking it away to think about it some more. But on the other hand, that's what they said about the national confrontation battles, and we've not really seen any sign of them. They might come back eventually. Anyway, I do mix it around with the guns on this, but the more entertaining matches seem to always happen when I'm using the derp gun, and it's the same derp that the Hetzer gets. So it's not great on a tier 6, it's not terrible, but it's not great. However, we're top tier, so that's not so bad. I can do more when I'm top tier. Well, you can see I'm mostly packing HE rounds, but I've got a half dozen AP rounds for the lower tier targets, and also a half dozen heat rounds. You could just pack a lot of heat in this thing, but honestly the gun is so inaccurate, and I mean, a lot of the things you want to shoot heat at, such as flat side armor, are covered by tracks, and you don't want to shoot heat at tracks. That's a bad idea. So on the whole I just stick with HE, even if it's only doing small amounts of damage. Now this is not an ideal spot, but I don't have a great view range, even though I do have binos. There are some things coming to town. However, we've already got an ARL, a T25, and, well, the AMX-40, naturally, he's gone for a splash around in the water. That's his native, you know, his native habitat. The ARL, however, I'm not quite sure what he's doing down there. The KV-1S is going down to that position as well. That is not a great place, to be honest, especially not at this point in the match. You're in a dip where, and bear in mind there's artillery on this, you know, both teams. You're in a dip where there's not actually that much cover. You see there, the ARL's already half dead. I'm actually going to turn around and see if I can't maybe help, but no. T-34's pulling back. This is not a good gun for kind of long-range snapshots. However, the T-150 is just sitting there, side of his turret. 80 damage, yeah, okay. But hey, it's the 105mm derp. You're not exactly going to be one-shotting all the tier 6 heavies with this thing. Unless you get really lucky with an ammo rack, I don't know. But the T-150 is relatively well armoured for a tier 6. So you can see that, I've actually taken 3 shots, but I've done 230 damage. Probably a bit more if he was still tracked there. So, oh, the MX-40's dead. As is the ARL, and the KV-1S has got a -1 next to his name, so GG. So much for the top tier heavies. The T-150 is at least coming to town. The Hetzer and the Nashorn are a lot closer, and I'm kind of sat here just trying to give some fire support. Now the KV-2 looked like he had the small derp, and I'm not sure if that KV-1 does either, but this was a very derp heavy match. A lot of people had derp guns. So he's tracked, but that misses. This is not ideal for this kind of derp gun, because there's a kind of a bug, which isn't really a bug, but it's more of just a feature of Big World, in the reticles, especially derp gun reticles, howitzer reticles, when you're close to a horizon or close to an object, they can kind of jerk and bobble around a bit. So if you're aimed at somebody perfectly that's close to a horizon and then they disappear off, or even that you're trying to lead a target and so you pull back a bit behind them and then your reticle kind of gets stuck on the horizon line, or it kind of jerks around and doesn't aim where you want it to aim. And there we go, that T-150 has also got the derp. Everybody had a derp in this one. It was kind of silly. I mean, I know the KV-2 gets a derp anyway, but the fact that he's got the small derp, he's actually, you know, him and the T-150 are actually packing the same gun. So I'm just pelting down these HE shells here, and look at the cap circle right now on the minimap. It's not going so well. 3.5, it's not terrible, it's not insurmountable, but they've got a KV-1S and an SU-100 versus a Type T-34 and a KV-1, a Sturg and a Crusader, who are practically next to the artillery. So if they were working together, then yes, but then not so much. Also, there's an SC-35A. One of the enemy team's SC-35A is just nailed our KB1. So he's over that way somewhere as well. We can see a trace for one on the minimap. It might be that one, it might not. Now, our artillery is... they've got their heads screwed on, at least in this one. They're doing okay. We actually had better artillery than the enemy team. They got kind of slightly bonked by the matchmaker. We had 2 tier 5s. They had a tier 5 and a tier 4. No idea why. I don't think it was for reasons of platooning, although we can quickly check. No! The only platoon was on the enemy team, and it was those French bathtubs. So, yeah, no, just matchmaker having a funny. So I can just see the top of that SE100, but that's never going to hit. KV1S drives forward. He's also got the derp gun, by the way. Like I said, everybody had a derp in this match. Well, not everybody, but you know, lots of people that you wouldn't ordinarily expect to have derps. So this is going to be tricky. I need to do some damage. So I load up the HE shells. The heat shells, rather. The HE AT shells. The AT was silent when I said it first time round. Yeah, okay, they've just taken out the shock. So the M41's there. They probably know that there's artillery likely to be in that corner. So I'm going to be a lot more careful about trying to aim these shots because I don't have many heat shells. These have got to count. So that one misses. Artillery fires and misses. Now, even though does he have the derp? I think he's got the derp. That KV1S. And there we go. That actually not pens for a full roll, but it pens for enough. 388. Can I get him again? There we go. 192. So that finishes off that guy. And I'm just reloading. The KV1S is awkwardly angled. Our RT actually successfully goes shotgun mode. So we're now 8-11, and there's at least one person on the cap. We know there's a Cheeto was somewhere down around J5, J6. The SC35 CA, who was on that platoon, well, if this one's here... Yeah, now, I kind of waste some time there. I get hit, get set on fire. I was faffing around with my shell selection, and it cost me badly. So, the other one is likely to be around as well, given that they are in a platoon. I know our M41 is a half-decent player, at least, or he's decent enough to not just run away. He actually stood his ground and took a shot at that guy. The enemy heavies are down, at least. The Type 58 is still alive, and they've only got 1 tier 6 left, but they do also have artillery, so this is kind of tricky, but it's doable. I have lost some health, however. That was kind of stupid of me. That was just faffing around with shells that cost me health there. Now, I'm hesitant to fire, and that's because trying to fire underneath those things, and you can see there the reticle derp. It's getting caught on those pumpkins. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. I do try a couple of shots underneath, but it's a very narrow window. And it's either hitting the ground or it's hitting the silos. So, yeah, I'm actually not going to get any damage on that guy. Derp gun's not the most accurate. You can't really complain if all your derp shells miss because, hey, you're using a derp. And I do mostly use the derp for the novelty factor, because it's silly, because you get results like, well, what the result of this one will be. So, I've actually done 1400 plus damage. You know, that's not bad considering I've been chipping away and chipping away and chipping away. And I did use a couple of my heat shells, but that was at rather a critical moment. If I hadn't taken out the SU-100, our M41 almost certainly would have died. And then I would have had the KV1S to deal with as well. So, that was kind of a critical moment. Oh, there's the Cheeto. Okay, he's low health. Hello! Even if I mean, even if he wasn't low health, my derp shells would be quite happy to see him anyway. In fact, I probably could have loaded AP. If he'd had more health, it might have been more worth loading AP. But as it was, HE, you know, if it hits him, it's going to kill him. Now, their gorilla gets our Type 58, which is bad. It's now me and 2 artillery. So, there's the M37, who was actually, you know, being proactive. He was at the front trying to help his team. But the SC35 is a bigger threat right now. However, the M37 fires and misses. I pull back, take out the M37. The M41 takes out the bathtub. So there's a Cheeto and a Matilda, and also the enemy gorilla. So yeah, they were clearly going there with an aim to maybe getting on the cap and helping to cap and actually using their tank to you know, benefit the team. And I like to see that in artillery, that they're actually, well, not as much as I ever like to see artillery. If it's a player that's actually trying to do something in this kind of critical situation, because often either going shotgun mode or getting to a position where you can actually go grab some capture points and help the team win that way, you know, that can make the difference between a win and a loss. So that Matilda, I could have tried to engage him on that ground, but I didn't have much of his tank to shoot at, and he could hurt me. He could. Now, our M41 is trying to go shotgun mode again, fires and misses. He knows he can take a couple of hits because the Matilda's not exactly high damage, but I'm coming at him from a different angle where I can actually hit more of his tank. And there we go. Artillery actually hit him just before I did, so I only did the last 86 damage on that guy, but I got the kill. And now I have 5 kills. And now we have to find this last artillery. So our artillery in this one have actually been fairly good at moving around and staying alive as well. You find that a lot, that artillery, and look at this, do you want a top gun? How often does that happen? So this is one of those rare times when I'm actually going to praise an artillery for, you know, not only using it, not just sitting in the same place and then complaining when they die at the hands of the enemy team, but actually being a nice enough player to see someone with 5 kills and say, hey, do you want Top Gun? That hardly ever happens. So kudos to that guy for just being, you know, a nice guy. So there we go, I did get a Top Gun, and I was quite prepared to let someone else get the kill if it came to it, and, you know, just because if I got derped, then somebody else has to sort of pick up the, you know, whatever. But that was also, in addition to Top Gun, that was also my actual ace tanker game with the Flat Panzer IV with the derp gun. And it wasn't that much damage, all things considered, 2090. And you see there, that M41 and the Grilla, they both did over 1k damage. And that's more than the rest of the team can say. We had a bunch of people that did nothing. Our KV-1S only did team damage. So well done, that guy. We had a couple of people that did at least try and do stuff. But no, it really came down to me, the 2 artilleries, and that Type 58 at the end there, who unfortunately got nuked. Our heavies, I mean the T-150, it was a good thing that he came into town, and they did actually take care of those guys in town, but the Type 58 was really the only survivor of those group of people. So, yeah, and on the enemy team was actually the enemy Grilla that did the most damage, followed by the Su-100. So that was actually a case where I want to say artillery used their powers for good instead of evil. Maybe it's just because I didn't really get shot by artillery in that one. I don't know. But there was also a lot of driving around in that one. I did over 3 kilometers driven and fired a whole bunch of shells. 30 shots fired, nearly 30, 29. 29 is nearly 30, right? And 17 actually hit. But hey, it's a derp gun. And given that it was 17 hits and that it was, a lot of those were just kind of chipping away bits of damage, actually 2090 is not so bad at all. It really isn't, considering a lot of those shells were only doing like 80, 100 damage at a time. So yeah, that was not a result I was expecting. I was certainly not expecting that to be an ace tanker. But I think it was those kills that tipped me over. I mean, yes, I had the most damage of anyone on either team, but it was the number of kills that I had that gave me that XP bump, that gave me that ace tanker. So there you go, the Flat Panzer derp. Ace tanker, that's how you get one of those, apparently, with the cooperation of a friendly artillery and just enough luck to get you by. So, if you enjoyed this replay, you can hit the like button, you can leave a comment below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.